Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go.
Bob,
Let's
welcome
go.
to the Salty Hive Experience.
Thank you.
Let's get right into it. So, who is Bob before he found CrossFit? Before you found CrossFit, give us a little rundown of your life.
My life. Let's see. So I was born in Newburgh, New York. So technically I'm a New Yorker, but I lived there for all of 3 months before, so I don't claim it. I claim New England as my home. I moved to my family moved us to West Hartford, Connecticut for a few years, and then we moved to the South Shore of Boston, and that's where I moved. Hingham, Marshfield, Cohasset, a bunch of different towns south of Boston, and that's where I grew up. And I grew up there, but I really grew up at summer camp. I went to summer camp every summer starting when I was 6 years old, and then pretty quickly was going for 7 weeks all summer long, and that was pretty transformational. That really introduced me to outdoors experiences, hiking, running. Also, I think I found my joy of running doing like competitions at summer camp, and yeah, actually fell in love with backpacking. Got exposed to uh, hiking in the White Mountains in New England, and then up in New Hampshire, and then the Appalachian Trail, and saw my first Appalachian Trail through hiker. Are you familiar with the Appalachian
No,
Trail?
not at all.
So the Appalachian Trail is the the country's first. No, actually, no. The Green Mountain Trail is the country's first continuous hiking trail, which is in Vermont.
Hmm.
It's like 300 miles long, and that inspired, I forget the guy's name, back in the early 1900s when industrialism was becoming more pronounced, to he had this vision of a continuous trail from Georgia to Maine along the Appalachian Mountains that would allow people to be able to still go out and commune with nature and get away from the soul sucking experience of like being an industrial society. And so, yeah, being able to get out and commune with nature and be outdoors. And I was a little kid up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Woke up one morning and we're packing up. We're actually eating breakfast before we pack up camp to go hike more that day. It was a backpacking trip, like a 3-day backpacking trip. And as I'm sitting there, I was probably like 10 years old, and this guy just comes blazing into our campsite, big old pack on his back, tree trunk legs, just like, and just cruises right through. Our counselor was like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey," and just like cruises through. I was like, "What was that?" It's like, "Oh, that's a through hiker." I'm like, "What's that?" "Oh, that's someone who hikes the Appalachian Trail." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, it's this trail that goes from Georgia to Maine, and we're on it right now." It's like, wow. And that seed got planted. And yeah, anyways, grew up in New England, went to college in Pennsylvania. After college, decided I wanted to go west. And the summer camp that I had been going to and was a counselor at up in Maine, it was a Christian Science camp. I was raised Christian Scientist, which is a religion, and not Scientology. So that's often the first question people ask. Anyways, it was a Christian Science camp, and there's a handful of Christian Science camps all around the country, and there was one in Colorado. And I called them up and said, "Hey, I'd love to come out and be a counselor," and they were thrilled because I'd had experience, and I was a Christian Scientist, and there's fewer and fewer of those. And they asked, "Do you want to be a river guide?" It's like, "Yeah, I'd love to be a river guide.
That's so
Totally, that
cool.
that sounds rad." And so, yeah, I drove out to Colorado after college and was trained how to be a river guide, and that turned into being a river runner for a number of years. Moved down to New Mexico with a couple of buddies I met at that camp. Got a job at the YMCA down there. Um, Began my career as a fundraiser once I was running a childcare um, program, and noticed that some things could be like better. We could be serving our families better, serving the kids better that were in our program, and brought it up to my director. "Hey, Mike, I think this, that, and the other thing we could be doing if we should do that." And he said, "Well, Bob, if you can raise the money, you can do whatever you want." So I was like, "Okay." So I went and raised the money and changed the program, and ended up finding out that they had a summer camp that they were turning off every fall and then turning back on in the summer. A year later, went up and ran that summer camp and turned it into a year-round community program, and really threw myself at that work for about 5 years, and ran headlong into that challenge of work-life balance and not really having a good balance, and totally just burned out, and then woke up one day and said, I'm going to go hike the Appalachian Trail. So I quit the job
My gosh.
and yeah, put in very responsible, put in like a 6-month notice saying, I think I'm out, but I'll leave in December, or maybe it was a 3-month notice. And then spent January through April that year just preparing to hike the Appalachian Trail, and then went out April in 2000 and started my hike, 2,163.7 miles, I think was the distance of the trail at that time,
Wow.
and spent 4 months hiking from Georgia to Maine.
That is so cool. I have
Cool.
so many questions already. I'm like, wow. So when you were like, this summer camp transformed my life, it stuck with you for a really long time. Do you still work with summer camps in the
I don't. I'd love to. It's actually funny. JD's a summer camp guy too, so he's like that's one of his dreams, is to be a camp director. I was a camp director. I'd love to, like, if it worked out, to get back into that space. There's a couple of camps that in the Christian Science space that would be like dreams to run, but I'm not a practicing Christian Scientist, so I'd need to like get back in tune with that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that would be a dream job. Just
That is so
yeah.
cool. And that sounds like the coolest summer camp ever. I mean, I was never a summer camp kid.
Oh, so that was, yeah. So the one in Colorado, it's called Adventure Unlimited. Wicked cool.
Is it still around?
It's still around. It still
Okay.
operates, and yeah, they have horse. I actually rode my first horse there, and then went back for a family camp in December, and was a ranchero, and was helping with the horses. But was a river guide. They do rock climbing. They do mountain biking. Yeah, it's pretty rad. The one back in Maine that I grew up at, I had the coolest job ever there after being a river guide, which was being a water skiing instructor. So I like learned how to water ski there, and I still ski a little bit. But yeah, I spent 2 summers just sitting on a boat all day long, dragging kids around Long Lake, Maine, which is beautiful. It was pretty sweet.
So
Like,
after you hiked the Appalachian Trail, what made you to decide? Did I say that right?
yeah,
The Appalachian Trail.
yeah.
What made you to decide to kind of let go of the summer camp life and get into like the work that you're in right now?
I mean, I'd already, yeah. Well, after I hiked the trail, so my girlfriend at the time watched my dog, and
Kirby?
yeah, no,
Oh, not Kirby at the time?
because this was 26 years ago.
Okay, all right. Not Kirby. Oh, I guess yeah, that is crazy that that's 26 years ago.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Wow, never mind.
So no, my girlfriend at the time watched my dog Goldmund. I said, if you watch my dog and we're still together on the other side, I'll go wherever you want to go. And that led us to Utah. So I lived here for I lived here for 5 years, 2000 to 2005. And yeah, I mean, if there was the opportunity to have stayed in that summer camp work as a career, I would have. But I found my way to Westminster College and started my career in higher ed fundraising, and that enabled me to do what I love to do, which is improve lives, strengthen communities, and help to make college more accessible, make higher education more responsive to employer needs, and yeah, just I see higher education as the best lever to improve communities, and yeah, so that was not, yeah, so that was the launch from summer camp into that experience of the YMCA helped me discover. I learned after college, like, I wanted to be in education, because the way as I looked at my life as a thinker, the way I was able to operate as a critical, independent thinker post college was very different to who I was like going into college. And I realized this changed my life. And I studied government and the ideal of democracy. I just realized this can't like be realized unless more people are able to think critically, independently, creatively. So I wanted to get into education, but I didn't want to go back to school. So that's how I found my way to the Y as a child care director. And then I was able, for a short period of time, to kind of merge that desire to improve lives and some form of education with summer camp. I kept the year-round program I created was both operating the summer camp and then brought childcare programs to a rural segment of New Mexico.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
So what would be the biggest shift for you from pre-college
Yeah,
thinker to
yeah.
post-college thinker? Like you kind of mentioned.
Yeah, I'm honestly like I'd never been out of the country, and I took a study abroad experience, and that just
Where was that at?
in Germany, Berlin, Germany. And yeah, I mean, I was just a naive kid that was raised to believe like America was the best country in the world, and is a remarkable country. But I just had this false understanding that every other country is barely operating. And so I remember when I got off the plane and in the streets of Germany, I was looking around, or in the streets of I think I can't remember whatever city I flew into, and was just blown away that there was this modern industrial society and everything was functioning. And then as I got to learn more and more about the society, I realized things aren't only functioning; they're actually functioning like arguably better in some instances. I mean, I feel like they have prescribed service, in Germany, where you have to do something in service to your country. It doesn't need to be military. It can either be military or social service. So you can be a social worker or work in the hospital, or just these other ways that you can just give back to your community. It required 2 years of service. And I just thought that's brilliant. Like I wish I had that opportunity. I thought about going into the military because I wanted to serve after high school, but I didn't know that there was any other option other than serving for 4 years, and that was like too much
Mm-hmm.
for me to even consider. Yeah, so I think just that sense of there's other ways to operate, and then that just forced me to really be more critical about what I was seeing and what the information I was being fed, and what's the source of that information, and is it really true?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really, really interesting. It seems like a lot of experiences shaped you a lot
yeah,
in
yeah.
the life. What would you say is your favorite experience as a camper in summer camp?
Oh,
So
as a
like,
camper in summer
yeah.
camp. Oh, we had color wars at my camp, and so I became the captain of my team that I'd been on for 12 years. And in that camp, there was a big lodge, and there were four different teams. They appropriated the Native American tribal names of Ogallala, um, Penobscot. I was an Ogallala Gold, so I was a gold, and there were gold like plaques all around the camp going back to like early 1900s of all the teams, and then their place, whether they finished first, second, third, or fourth, and then the team captain name. And my team, the All the Golds, had never won first place the whole time I'd been there as a camper. And so that year I was a counselor in training, and I got elected to be the team captain.
Mm-hmm.
And I led my team to first place. And
So you
so
have a gold now,
I
or you have a medal up there now?
I have my name on a plaque up
Ah,
there.
okay.
And my nephew went to camp, and he was like, "Oh, B. Whittaker, is it my brother's name's Bill Whittaker? Is that you, Dad?" I'm like, "No, that's not your dad.
That is
That's your uncle,
me.
dude."
That is so awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, and so at the end of the 7-week term, there's a big banquet, and you spend the whole 7 weeks doing different competitions, cleaning, like just doing all the different things to gain points. And they keep the points secret. You don't know who's in what place
That's
until
cool.
the end of that banquet. Every team captain holds the plaque to their chest and then flips it up. And then you look and you're like, oh. And so that was like remains one of my favorite life memories. Just as I think about it, I get chills from, and that was 34 years ago.
That's so
35
awesome.
years
That's
ago. Yeah,
amazing.
it's pretty wild.
What has been your favorite experience as a camp counselor?
Favorite experience as a camp counselor? I mean, it's just, it was similar to that, like just with kids. And that was what was really cool about like winning that was as much about like that pride of winning as just that whole 7 weeks of like getting to know my team, like being, just that camaraderie among team members. And I was a counselor in training, so I was still a camper. So it was very like really close connection. But then as a counselor, you have a different type of connection where now you have this group of kids that are all like looking up to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then just getting to know them, getting to nurture them, getting to see them thrive and grow. I mean, as a water ski instructor, like sitting with a little 6-year-old kid in the water and holding them in the water while the boat pulls them, and then helping them get up, and like they get up on skis for the first time, and just seeing little, I mean, not little, sometimes significant accomplishments, and it's just like, I'm a part of that. It just feels, feels
That's really cool.
enriching.
That's so cool. So you were a water skiing guide. You were, what was the other? A river guide.
River,
Did you do any other like guide type work?
Not really.
Okay.
No, I mean we do. I'd be a trip leader as a counselor as well. So I did guided backpacking trips, canoe trips. Just I think we did a bike trip. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Tell me about hiking the Appalachian Trail.
I mean,
Give us the run. Give us the story. What? Actually, first describe it in one word, and then you can tell us the story.
in one word, invigorating.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it was invigorating on multiple levels, both physically and spiritually, emotionally. It's just like it's such a cool experience for 4 months. I was able to do it in 4 months because I adopted lightweight backpacking at the early days of lightweight backpacking, and was able to get to like clicking out 20 miles a day, like for a good bit of period. And I was motivated to get back to my girlfriend and dog at the time of like, so I went after it. Um, but like in that experience, I did it really, I was very intentional about doing it as a soul searching activity. It was very like introspective, and I did it. I was, a lot of people do with friends or partner. Um, and I just, it was very clear, like, this is my thing. I'm doing this. And
You went by yourself,
yeah,
completely by yourself.
solo, but never alone, because there's a community out there, like 10,000 people attempt the through hike a year at least. And that was back in 2000. I
What
mean,
percentage finished that?
10%.
Wow.
So like, so it's like, so not, and there's a lot of reasons people fail. I think more and more people are succeeding now because of lightweight backpacking, because you're less injured. And that's what drew me to the lightweight backpacking. It just decreases injury
Mm-hmm.
likelihood. But yeah, that ability to wake up and you have your whole life like in a pack, and you can go as long as you want, as short as you want, wherever you want. You can stop. I mean, there are designated campsites along the way, but you can also, um, find places off the trail and create your own campsite. So just an incredible amount of freedom and independence. And then as you're hiking, there's other people out there that you can interact with, and it was pretty uh, fun, interesting to just like you come up on someone, you chat with them, and I'd know within like 30 seconds whether this is someone, or if not shorter, whether this is like someone to engage with or just to keep hiking.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just, when you would find those people that you connect with, and you'd end up maybe hiking for an hour together, maybe hiking for a day, maybe hiking for multiple days, and you would just like connect, and just like that. And then, so then you do have these pockets of community of hikers that all just get to know each other. And then there's shelters. I was the guy who his vision for the Appalachian Trail was that you would have volunteer groups that would manage the trail and then maintain shelters that would be within a day's hike of each other. So effectively every 10 miles there's a shelter. So you can theoretically hike it without a tent. You can just go to the shelters, because through hikers get first dibs at the shelters. So you can actually kick people out of the shelters if they're not through hikers, technically. But people usually have tents, and in those shelters there's trail logs. So as you're hiking along, you can like write notes, and then write notes to people, and just be communicating with people that you've seen along the way. And then I also I like to write. I've been journaling since I graduated college, and yeah, would take time and kind of craft poems or other things that the reflections, and then craft them in my journal and then write them in the logs as I was going along. And it was really nice because I'd get people would comment of like, "Oh, I love your entries in the journals," because people read them,
Yeah, that's so cool.
and some I'd see some, and there was a guy that I got to know um, who would make illustrations, and that was his contribution. He was a great artist, and then he made me an illustration. You have trail names on the trail, so my trail name was Butterfly, and the idea was metamorphosis. I was trying to figure out what my trail name was, and I was hiking up to Mount Springer, the summit of Mount Springer, where in Georgia, where the trail begins, and I sat down and was journaling and trying to think through what's my trail name going to be, and this butterfly comes along and lands on my knee, a monarch butterfly, and just sits there for a second. I'm like, metamorphosis. This is about
Obviously.
change. Right? So I will be butterfly, and then it flew away. Yeah. So yeah, there's multiple. It remains one of the most meaningful, enriching experiences of my life. I have a college degree, 2 graduate degrees, and that by far is the most rewarding learning experience of my life, concentrated over that 4 months.
That is a really cool story. What was the most difficult part or experience you had on the Appalachian Trail?
Um, hmm. Probably when my girlfriend, who became my wife and is now my ex-wife, came out and hiked the trail with me. And it was difficult because I I'm someone who generally adapts to my environment. So it's hard to yeah, it's hard to, I think, knock me off track because I'll just keep going and just adapt as I go along. So
Mm-hmm.
the first 30 days of my hike, it rained every day. Snowed a little bit too. And I was like, okay, and it just adapted to it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's raining,
Yeah.
but I want to be here, and
Right.
this isn't going to stop me. It's just rain, and I have the equipment and I have what I need, so it's all good. So
That's crazy to hear because it was your first 30 days and you could have easily been like, I'm not even in this yet.
oh,
Like I could just hop right? So that's very telling of the type of person you are.
yeah, it's just rain, and it's beautiful, and I learned to find the beauty in it.
Mm-hmm.
So my Chrissy, I guess I should call her the mother of my children because that's a better definition of her than my ex-wife. But she wanted to come out and hike with me, so we had a wedding we were going to on the Cape. So I jumped ahead to Connecticut and we did a section together. So she joined me for by that time I think I was hiking through Virginia maybe when I left the trail or left that section. Went up, hiked with her, and surprise, it's raining. And we get out, and I think we made it. We did one day. It was raining a bit. We stayed at a place, and then we got out on the second day, and it was raining again. And she's like, "This, and I'm like, honey, you gotta see the beauty. Look how green everything. Like the green's just popping out because and look at And I was just, and she's like, shut up.
She's like, no, this is horrible.
So then we're walking across this bog, very wet spot, and there's a tree log, an old log that we're walking along as the bridge, and I'm walking behind her, and I see her slip, and her legs just go up, and her back pulls down, and just right in the water. She just looks up, she's like, "This fucking sucks." It's like, okay. So we got off the trail at the next road crossing, and got into a bed and breakfast, and that was it. So it was, that was probably the most difficult
Mm-hmm.
experience, but otherwise it was, no, it was remarkable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that you love to write and like poems and stuff. Are
Yeah.
you announcing that you're writing a book?
No.
I'm just
I saw that. I'm not. I mean, I think I have a book or two in me, but I'm a ways away from
Book or
getting them
two.
out. Yeah.
Okay. If you were to write a book, what would it be about?
I mean, there's definitely a fiction in there, a couple potential ideas. But I think what's most what I think's closest to the surface is probably a memoir, something along those. Yeah, just to kind of share life as a divorced middle-aged man. In my experience, kind of finding myself after like, um, yeah, a marriage that was great until it wasn't, and then just how to move forward from that.
Yeah. Adapt. Sounds like you're good at that.
How to adapt, and also I think how to be. I don't know. I think like I think the whole concept of masculinity right now is I think there needs to be more voices, and they're out there. So I don't know that I'd necessarily be adding anything new, but I think like just how to present masculinity in in a loving way, and in a way that embraces femininity as well,
Mm-hmm.
but still is is male and masculine, and that physical strength, that ambition, aggression, that's also softened by love and caring and devotion, and yeah, the things that like respect of the other half of the species, you know.
The other people around.
That deservedly. I mean, I'm someone that I think I'm not a fan of patriarchy. I think like men have had a long history within which we've had a chance to demonstrate our ability to lead well. And I think like the typical great man leader concept is like, I think it's becoming obsolete. Though I think we also still hold on to it because like people like to be led, and it's there's that tension there of how to lead, from in a collaborative way and an inclusive way. And yeah, so I think there's a lot swirling around in there that I think there might be value I could add to
So a
the
book
broader
has been in the
discourse.
thoughts.
There's
Okay.
thoughts.
Heck yeah.
There's
I can't
thoughts.
wait to read it.
It might be a minute. No.
Okay. So you had mentioned you like slightly brought this up as like summer camp helped you get into running
Yeah.
and because of the competitions that were there. So
Yeah.
like give us a little bit about that and a little bit about your competitive nature.
Yeah. So, what immediately comes to mind of my competitive nature is I have a big brother, and so that was always a benchmark. I'm 4 years older, so it's a tough benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he at summer camp was the place where I like thrived. And I think from early on up until that, like being a team captain, I there'd be those race like competitions every Saturday, and often there'd be running race competitions, and I'd like excel and do well in those, like, and they'd usually be short races. Um, but then we did like we actually did a there was a four in the Fourth of July 4 mile race, that they encouraged you to sign up for. And I remember, I think I ran in jeans for the first time because it was cold, and like those were the only long pants I had, and I was like 8 or 9 or something. But yeah, that definitely, I think that was where running just for running's sake was um, introduced to me. And then I ran like through high school as cross training for sports. I played soccer and lacrosse, were the two main sports I played. And then in college, I switched over to rugby. And it wasn't really until, and I'd run and I'd find some, I wouldn't necessarily say joy in it, but it would just, I'd be okay at it. Um, it wasn't until I moved to New Mexico and was starting to live independently as an adult, where I just realized like trail running really just called to me. And where I worked, there were some great trails, like right in the foothills of the Sandia Mountains, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'd get out and I just started running, and it was like, this feels great. And then when I moved to Jemez, New Mexico, I ran the summer camp. There were great trails up there, and that became a regular activity. And there was a Indian Pueblo nearby, and I got to know an old timer there who was a janitor at the school. And in talking with him, I learned that he was the most winningest runner of the Pikes Peak Marathon. He'd won it like 7 times in a row,
Wow.
and no one had ever run it. I don't know if anyone ever has run it that many times since, Steve Gotchupin. And there was a Steve Gotchupin run, and he invited me to come down. I was like, sure, I'd love to come down and run it. And I signed up, and it was a 5K half marathon. And as I was signing up, I was like, um, well, which one? They're like, oh, you can run whichever one. Like, oh, I don't have to sit. Nope, there's when you get out, just run whatever one you want. And I was like, okay. So I got running, and a couple miles into it, there was the decision of 5K this way, half marathon this way. And I
That's a
was like,
big decision because
yeah,
it's a big gap.
it's a big gap, right? But I felt good. I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. So I ran the half, and I ended up like, I think I at least got third. I might have won it. I can't remember. I have a little medal at home.
That's
And
awesome.
I was like, oh, okay, that's
Was
cool.
that the furthest you've ever ran at that
That's the
point?
furthest I'd ever run at that point. And it was like a nice reward for on the other side of it. And I was like, okay, maybe I should do more running. And then it probably was, yeah, I think it was like 3 or 4 years later. Then I moved to Utah and was playing ultimate frisbee by that time. And yeah, heard about the Top of Utah Marathon. And I think it was because I was a graduate student at USU and knew heard they had a marathon, and a guy on my ultimate team had run a marathon. I was like, oh, I think I could do that. And so I signed up for the Top of Utah Marathon and ran it first time. And it was tough. It was hard. But I ended up getting what remains my personal best time. And it was a year and a half later, over a year and a half later, I learned about the whole concept of the Boston Marathon and Boston qualifying times. And I looked back at my time and saw that it was a qualifying time for the Boston Marathon. I was like, oh man, I could run Boston. And then I went to sign up and it was too late. The window had closed. Like
Oh, dang
my
it.
time no longer counted. Um, so, and I've been running a marathon a year since 2002, of the Top of Utah Marathon. And part of the reason I was running a marathon a year was because I kept trying to qualify for Boston again, and I just couldn't get it done. And
So you've never done Boston?
I did. It took me until 2018 to finally get a qualifying time that not only qualified me for Boston, but actually got me in Boston because I had enough like of a buffer from the actual qualifying time. And yeah, and then I ran Boston in 2019 and it kicked my butt. It was like my goal was to qualify for Boston at Boston, but I missed that by like 15 minutes. It was such a hard course. And that was the first marathon in like at least, yeah, probably 14 years, 15 years, where I didn't make the goal of qualifying. And like, cause every other marathon until I finally qualified, and I missed the qualifying time, I'd immediately start thinking, okay, what could I have done better? What did I do wrong? When's the next one? I'm going to make this happen, and it kept just, there's so many variables in races and marathons like that it takes, like for me at least, getting them all lined up. But that was the first one after Boston when I finished that I wasn't having that same like cycle. I was just like, that was hard. I'm never doing it again. I'm good.
I have peaked. We're good.
I
That's
was like,
enough.
I mean, I knew I'd keep running marathons, but I was like, I don't need to do Boston again.
Okay.
That was
So
rough.
explain to me, why is Boston so prestigious? Is that the right word? Like, it's
Yeah. I think it's the oldest running continuous marathon. So it's been running since the early 1900s, maybe even
okay.
1800s. It's been, I mean, it's a long running marathon. It's been the longest running marathon, and it's just a storied marathon. I mean, you have, yeah, so I think it was, I don't know if it was the first one, and it's also the first marathon where two different women ran. One, Bobby Gibbons, who ran it in like 67 or so. She ran it. This was back, like, women weren't allowed to run marathons, and so she tried to register, and they just dismissed it. They were like, no, you're a woman, you can't run it. So she hung out in a bush. She wore a bathing suit with sweatpants, hoodie, and just hung out in a bush before the start of the marathon. And then when it started, she jumped in and then started running it, and
Big.
took off her sweatshirt, and the guys were like, "Hey!" And people were cheering her on, and she finished. And she actually she was using it as a training run for a 100-mile. So she was an accomplished
That's
runner.
awesome.
But yeah, so but then Catherine Pitzer, am I getting that right? She was the first official woman to run the Boston Marathon, because when she registered for it, she didn't check male or female, and she just put K Pitzer on the registration. So she ran it, and halfway through it, or pretty well into it, the press truck runs by or drives by taking pictures, and the head of the Boston Marathon, the race director, was on the flatbed truck,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw a woman was running his race. He jumped off, went over, tried to grab her and throw her out of the race. It's iconic pictures. If you haven't seen them, they're pretty cool. I actually have like the series in my office because I think it's so inspiring, where you have like this woman running a race with guys, all guys around her, and then this angry man reaching out behind her, trying to grab her, and then grabbing her. And then her boyfriend was running with her. He was a linebacker from Yale University, and he is
Yes.
after another guy you see reaching to him to be like, "Get off her, dude! What are you doing?"
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and it's a powerful image. And anyway, so she ran, Catherine Switzer. She ran and finished, and ran a good time. And that was the beginning of women running races. I don't know how long, if it was like the next year, but then you had women and men running races. And yeah, Boston's just like pretty storied, iconic course.
That's really cool. I love a good woman power story.
Woman power. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
it's good
awesome.
stuff.
Okay, so you moved to Utah. You got a job at Westminster. Then did you move away from Utah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first daughter was born, Jasmine, and their mother and I, around the same time, in her first year. She was born in January, spring of 24. Um, the I'm just making sure I'm getting that math right. Yeah, spring of 24. She I remember driving down. We lived in Park City at the time, and I remember driving down Parley's and looking up and seeing like green just busting out of the side of the canyon, and just thinking to myself, I want to see that for more than like 3 weeks a year or a month a year or whatever it was before everything turns brown again. So yeah, so 2005 we moved back east to Vermont, and then I was there until 2023.
Okay, and then you moved back here.
Yeah,
Back here, and then you've been here ever since.
yeah.
Okay, so we're back in Utah in 2023. When do you find CrossFit? When does that?
CrossFit I found actually in 2022. So the year
Oh.
before I took this job, a buddy of mine, because I looked at CrossFit, like I'd seen CrossFit, but I just thought it looked kind of stupid. It was like that yeah, and it just didn't appeal to me. And like all this, and I think it also intimidated the heck out of me. It just was like that. No, not me. But I knew I needed strength as I was aging and had different running goals. I knew like strength training was something I needed to incorporate into my life. And I've never been able to do strength training on my own. The closest I got was a fitness class, like probably around 2021 or so. And it was great, and it had some elements of CrossFit, like they were built into it. And it was definitely very oriented around functional fitness. But then that, for whatever reason, I stopped going to that, and I tried again to keep it going on my own, but wasn't able to do it. And sharing like my sort of frustration with finding a good strength training routine with a buddy of mine, he's like, "You should come to CrossFit with me." I was like, "Okay." So I went with him, and
And that was in Vermont.
it was in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
So it's right across the border, just down the road from me in Vermont, and Littleton CrossFit, and fell in love with it immediately. It was just like,
Of
oh,
course you did.
this is awesome, because that, like, it was just when I was able to qualify for Boston because I started doing speed training for the first time. I found a running club because I was living in the Boston area, and there was a great running club that I joined up with and discovered the value of a fitness tribe vibe, and just like, getting into that fitness, having a fitness community, and then doing weekly track workouts and speed training, either track or hill workouts, and seeing like my progress as a runner grow significantly, like actually seeing my speed, like pretty quick gains on the track as I started doing regular workouts. Um, my experience with CrossFit, just that first class I did, I immediately saw like, oh, this is there's so much room for growth, and I can see how I know this is going to hurt, but I can see like each of these things I just did today poorly, if I do more of this, I can do each of these things better.
Okay, so you saw like like a
Yeah.
pool of growth.
So so that opportunity for growth and improvement, which has always driven me. And then the fitness tribe vibe, just that community. Like it was I've been lucky. The two gyms I've been a part of are just great communities. And in that gym, the owner, great coach. She, like, really impressive athlete, and then just really, takes the time, like all the coaches here, of just making sure you're doing what you need to be doing for yourself and doing it right,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of helping to buffer any sort of aggro approach, unless it's something you create yourself. It's
Yeah,
just like, it's you do you, like you do what is right for you, and don't feel a need to like push until you're ready to push yourself. Yeah, so no, it's yeah, it didn't take long to fall in love with it.
I know it's usually like first class you catch a pretty big bug and you're like, uh-oh.
Well, and then the other piece is I just like being told what to do and not having to think, just the ability to come in and it's all prescribed, and then I just do it.
Absolutely, that
Yeah.
is really nice. So once you moved to Utah, how'd you stumble upon Salty Hive?
I interviewed, I work at Salt Lake Community College,
Mm-hmm.
interviewed there. Um, After the day of my interview, or those 2 days, I was just looking up CrossFit gyms, and this is the closest one to the campus. So I rolled in here after my interview, and it went well. And yeah, it was just like, oh, this is I mean, two things actually. Immediately super intimidated, because the level of athlete here is high, and there's a lot of like really strong athletes. There's a great range of athletes, but I was just like, ooh, I don't think I'm not sure I would have come back if didn't already have that base that I had of feeling confident stepping into a gym.
Okay.
Uh, you know, yeah, particularly since like someone didn't bring me here. But anyways, like it on the way out, I was telling Haley about this the other day. Like, I met Haley and JD, two very friendly, welcoming, happy people, and they just, I don't know, I think JD gave me a hug. I was like, oh, that's nice, and Haley gave me a hug, and I was like, wow, this is really sweet. And then I went for a run with Haley, and I can't remember another athlete like afterwards, because they were like, we're going for a run. I was like, you want to go? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And did the mile loop, and it was just like, oh, this is a cool place. I mean, I tried a couple other ones out just to like taste test, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew like, no, this is the right place. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I love hearing like JD and Haley particularly like are really like outgoing and they love to involve everybody. And
Yeah.
like the other day, Haley walks in and she's like, "Hey, I haven't met you. I'm Haley," to like someone to a new
Yeah.
member, and I was like, people like that are just like help build this community so much, and same with JD is the same way. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love to hear that story about them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you began CrossFit and you recently did, I guess almost a year ago, your first CrossFit competition.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about your experience.
Summit Games. Oh, that was a
Summit
fun
Games.
experience. I had no idea what I was getting into. It's like I signed up because Clay was like, you should do this. I was like, I don't know, man. And he was good and persistent. So was like, okay, let's give it a go. And it was amazing. I mean, I appreciated being put in the category of class where I belong, of 15 over, since I'm there. And yeah, I was blown away by, like, at the end of the day one, I think it might have been you or someone mentioned like, Bob, you're in second place. I'm like, what? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Or third, whatever it was. And I was like, no way. Okay, that's cool. And that like sparked the competitive bug in me. It's like I
You're
wasn't
like,
even
well, in that case,
wasn't even thinking like of that as an option. But then I was like, okay, now I'm paying attention. And
Now I'm
then,
in this.
yeah, then I was like in it to win it, or do the best I could. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. I mean, it was like, um, I was just at that time, I remember Toes to Bar, that was the movement I was not connecting yet. And so I was struggling. Samantha was doing a great job giving me coaching and helping me figure it out. And I think like that felt pretty irritating, like being in that workout and just getting schooled like pretty bad by the other guys. But it was what it was. I think otherwise, yeah, I did well. And I remember the last workout, and I was very much wanting to like try to secure my spot. I saw like first it was way out of reach for me, but like second, I think I was in second, but barely. So I was like, I want to really hold on to this spot. Or wait, no, third. I can't remember. No, maybe it was third, but I think I got
You're
third.
definitely on the podium. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
I think it was. I was trying to
Okay.
hold on. Yeah, I got third. So I was trying to hold on. I was in third and was trying to hold on to third. Um, that was actually there was one workout where it was a good learning experience for me of keeping my eye on the whole field or just ignoring them and just busting tail and not worrying about it, because like I knew the guy who was beating me, or who was in first place, was like in my lane, and I think I was beating him, so I was like, okay, I got it. And the other guy that was like behind him, like he wasn't in my field of view, so I thought I'd actually won that event, but like I let him get ahead of me because I wasn't like paying attention to
Mm-hmm.
him. So it was like, okay, I gotta. And I thought I had breathing room because the guy who I thought was my only threat like was a few spaces back. It was
Mm-hmm.
like one of those lifts, and then move forward and then lift thing, whatever it was.
And then lift the thing and then move it forward and then lift it again. And
And there was some running involved. Like I think you would run anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I was like, oh, I got it, because I'm smoking him. But the guy like 8 rows down, like he took it to me.
I know it's funny how that happened. You like think you win and you're like, wait, someone was just blazing ahead of me. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, and like that extra breath I took because I thought I had it cost it,
Yeah.
and it's like you can't let up. So that was a good lesson. But yeah, it was just like I remember in the last workout, just like feeling kind of stressed, and was loving the support from all of the other athletes, and like Justin was giving me some good juice beforehand, and then afterwards, like, I'm like exhausted, and he comes over, he's like, you did what you needed to do. I was
You're
like,
like, yes,
that felt good.
that
Yeah.
felt good.
It's like, sweet, thank you.
Would you do another one?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I want to do Summit Games again.
Oh,
And
heck yeah.
Larissa just sent me something on July 11th. There's sometime in early July, that I think I might take a look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I
And
love
I'm
to hear
doing
that.
High Rocks. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's on the looks.
Yeah. So I think Summit Games is the weekend before High Rocks. But yeah, I think they want to go for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you are still an avid runner.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you give us some tips and tricks and things that you do to balance your running, but also your CrossFit training?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. I mean, it's a challenge. I think this cycle of this last year has shown me, like, what I'm trying to figure out the balance of is I want to keep running marathons. I want to do a 100-miler at some point in the next year or so. And I want to keep getting stronger with CrossFit, so I think like at least three days a week. What I'm trying to figure out is like, as I build volume, like I did a marathon in April, and I think I was hitting good volume of like trying to do 3 or 4 days a week and then trying to get 30 plus miles a week. And I think that's the piece I'm still trying to balance out of like how much does CrossFit compensate for, like, because I know like my orientation in the past has been I think I need to get to like 50 to 60 miles a week to really consistently get the times I want in the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I can do that and do CrossFit. So it's like how much like CrossFit can, if I only do 40 miles a week and then 3 days of CrossFit, is that enough? And I think
Mm-hmm.
like 4 days of CrossFit, maybe, but then I got to make sure I'm holding my intensity down when I do CrossFit. And it's hard for me not to like come with like 80% to
Mhm.
100% intensity each time. Like
Mhm.
that's I think that's what I'm, to your question, still figuring out and struggling with, how to keep that volume high that I want to keep, but also keep the intensity, but not too much intensity, and just like showing up. And I think where I've found is like I'm more comfortable doing the scaled version, doing like the 1.0, maybe the 2.0, but like
Mhm.
it doesn't like, yeah, I'm okay with just doing the 1.0 just to like get the movement and get the strength building.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really
That makes
interesting. That
sense.
kind of leads me into the next
Yeah.
question, which is how does CrossFit support your running?
I mean, it supports my running just by making me stronger and
Mhm.
making me feel stronger. And I've noticed that when I do track workouts, the people that I run with, there's the Salt Lake Track Club group, and it's a very fast group, and there's like people at the front of the pack and then people at the back of the pack, and then I tend to find myself in the middle. And I can't like I don't I find myself like when we're going up hills, like I'll have more strength and a little more juice than others might have, that I think because of like the strength training I'm doing. So I can
Mhm.
definitely feel that. Um, I think it definitely helps with my endurance. And I think it helps with my confidence at a certain level as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked how you were talking about how like, okay, I want to get 50 miles in, but I want to do CrossFit. So if I do 30 miles, is CrossFit compensating for the last 10? Like,
Right.
or the last 20? Like, do you feel like CrossFit does increase your cardiovascular endurance, does increase your
I think it
muscular endurance?
I think it helps for sure. I mean, I think that's the other piece, like being in that red zone, like being in controlled settings here in the gym, where I'm in the red zone and then can see how much I can just keep pushing through and then keep
Mhm.
going, and find myself in that spot where, for me, it's like, and I'll see this in track workouts too, like getting to that threshold of like almost puking, but not, you know,
Not quite.
not quite. And then knowing how to back off of that. And I think so yeah, just and then knowing like I can, when I go into a marathon, you get into the pain cave, and being able to push through it. And I think like here I'm in that, I spend more concentrated time in that space, and
Mhm.
then can kind of just push through it, and then also pull back and not like know what's right, what's real, or what's not be dumb, as the coach was saying the other day. And I think that's the piece that I've found, like my running has really given me a pretty high somatic awareness of just being attuned to my body, so I don't push myself to injury. And then when I do feel hot spots, like backing off and letting those repair. And I think now 4 years in, that's the piece I think I'm have a better handle on, of how to like, yeah, throttle back, or
Mhm.
pull back.
Learn pacing a little bit.
Learn pacing. It can always do better at pacing for sure, but more so like learn just like the workout yesterday had the 2.0 was a 50-pound dumbbell, and I really wanted to give that a try. And so I did for like the first round, and got six and was able to do it, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it like for the next four rounds. So
Okay.
then I went down to 45, did the next six, and I was like, this isn't going to work either. So then I grabbed a 40, and it's like, and then I was able to hold on to the 40 like through it. And it's just like knowing, because I can kind of continue to deal with like shoulder issues. And I think I'm finding the place where like I overdid it at the mastery pull up and
Mm.
mastery muscle up.
Mhm.
And I should have just stopped after the pull up. The muscle up, like it felt great, and I was psyched that I was able to do it, but I overdid it. And I felt like, I remember feeling like a little something. And
And you're like, it's fine.
totally, I was like, oh yeah, that's like an echo, but it's not hurting, so I'm sure it's fine. And it was like, it's so learning that, like how to apply that awareness across my whole body, and using these still relatively new movements, so that I can do this for as long as possible, which
I
is
love
the
that.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the goal. You mentioned like getting to the point where you almost want to puke. Are you a puker? Are you a workout puker? Have
No,
you ever puked after a running
I don't think
workout?
I've ever puked after a
Okay.
workout, because I know like I could be if I wanted to, but I don't.
But you don't want to push to that
No, no,
point.
I can feel it, and I like get to the edge of it, and that tends to be like, okay, I don't, and some, I'll lean into a little bit, but I have no interest in like pushing it all the way unless, I mean, if it was the difference between like I was looking at my marathon time and like I'm at the finish and it's like I got to keep going in order to like stay below that marker,
Hmm.
and I like that would be one of the few times where it's like, okay, let's just
Let's
go
just
for
see. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
it and
not
see what
really a
happens.
workout peaker either. I'm like, don't ever want to get to that place.
No, I don't. I mean, I think like again, but just like that example, I think sure, like I reserve that. Like, yeah, I have no need to get past that threshold.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
If you had
it's
to give,
kind of similar to lightheadedness. Like when
oh
I
yeah,
feel like it's like, okay, I feel this coming on. I don't need to find out
right.
what it would look like looking up from the ground.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, it's kind of, that's like an interesting thing with like going with just like listening to your body, like
Yeah,
the shoulder thing.
yeah.
You're like, my shoulder was telling me that it didn't like what I was doing and I didn't listen,
Totally.
right? So same type of thing.
Yeah,
If you had to give any piece of advice to someone that wants to incorporate running but doesn't want to stop CrossFit,
yeah,
because we're into that season in the
yeah.
summer, what advice would you give?
Do it.
How? How do you do it?
Oh, I mean, I think it was actually Lindsay's workshop was helpful for
Hmm.
me to hear asking that question about how intensity and like to load up intensity on like the same day. So that was helpful for me when I had been thinking of like, okay, I'm going to do track workouts, but I'm either not going to do the gym that evening or I'm going to go light. And that helped me realize, no, I should do the gym. Like I'm already doing an intense workout that day. Might as well round it out and just
Yeah.
have like, so yeah, so I think it's finding that balance of how you can do both and just really being attentive to energy levels. I mean, that's something I've, particularly as I aged, and becoming increasingly aware of that energy is finite. And there's that energy of fitness energy, and then so CrossFit and running, as well as work energy and mental energy, and then interpersonal energy, like in social, still like is an energy expense, right?
Hmm.
So just how to balance all of those, and then getting good sleep.
That's a really interesting perspective, and I want you to build on that a little bit about like how do you manage your energy?
Yeah.
Like all of those things do take energy, and
Yeah.
like sometimes I think it's really hard for people to understand. They're like, "Oh, I'm so tired in the gym." And it's like, "Well, let's think about this. Like you've used energy all day long
Hmm.
for work, for kids, for whatever." And so like what is some advice or how do you manage your energy?
Well, and it's interesting because for me, like, so running and now CrossFit is as much for me about physical health and wellness about as it is about emotional and mental health and wellness. So like I am tired and like cognitively at the end of the day, I'll come in here and it just clears it out. And so I'll be physically tired, but I'll feel more energized,
Okay.
right? And so if I need to do some more work, I'll be more inclined to go home and do that because I have more energy. But I do think it's like paying attention to those other key drivers. And I did a nutrition class or I had Trish as a nutrition coach for a bit, which was super helpful. The nutrition challenge that this gym has done does was super helpful just in understanding like better awareness of protein intake, of water intake, those key drivers of energy that are crucial. So really paying attention to good nutrition, paying better attention to sleep cycles, which is something I've never up until the last few years have been more attentive to. Because again, like there are things I want to do, and if I'm not rested and not nourished, I'm not going to be able to do them. So yeah, I think paying attention to
The
um,
whole pie.
the whole pie,
Yeah.
big picture.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your current goals? What things you looking forward to? What's going on in the life of Bob right now?
Yeah, I'm still trying to qualify for Boston, and I think I was my daughter is she just graduated from Boston College, and so I'd been trying to qualify for the last couple of years, so I could run it while she was there at Boston because they come out and cheer
Oh,
like
cool.
racers. But she's still going to be working in Boston for at least the next year or two, and she's planning to run Boston next year with a charity bib. So I have a race in like late July, but I've been dealing with a calf thing that is just, I don't know if I'm going to be ready to do it. So when she told me she was running, I'd already given up because I ran a marathon last month or in April in California with COVID. Did I tell you this?
No.
So I had
You had
COVID.
COVID?
I didn't realize I had COVID till after I finished the race.
Did you win the race? I wouldn't. Okay, I was like,
Finished
all right.
the goal, but I went in with I was planning to use it as a qualifying race,
Mm.
and like 8 miles in, I was getting pretty close to my splits, but it was hard. And then like around between mile 8 and mile 9, my body was just like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have this.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened and just slowed down, and like things started cramping. Like I generally will cramp in at least one place, but like it was cycling through all the different hot spots that I usually get, like throughout from there to the finish. I was like kind of just
Jeez.
mitigating that. Yeah. And then I was like, my girlfriend ended up testing for COVID the next week because I gave it to her. And I knew, like, I thought it was just allergies, and I was talking myself through, like, just like, I'm okay. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah. Yeah. And it was a light version, but it was definitely like, and at the end of the race, I was like, oh yeah, that was more than allergies. So I ended up finishing like an hour slower than I was trying to. And yeah, and I don't think I've fully, I think then I jumped, not listening to my body, too quickly into like trying to get ready for this July race, and I'm just not going to be ready. So that's still out on the horizon. Getting into Boston, I don't know if it'll happen in 27 as I was hoping. Running a 100-miler. I have a moonshot mile goal that I think I'm learning to let go of goals too, because I just don't know my goal was before I turned 50 to run a sub 5-minute mile.
Mm.
Um,
Is that what that is? What did you call it? A
a
moon?
moonshot. So a moonshot of like getting, like something that I think is
Oh,
possibly
okay.
overreached, just
Okay.
like a
Got
moonshot
it.
goal,
Moonshot goal. Got
So that was my moon. That's been my moonshot goal, and I think now just if I could get back to my fastest PR mile is like 5:20, so I'd be psyched if I could even get to that at this point.
it. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And then High Rocks is on your mind.
High Rocks, yeah. I'm excited just to see like how I like
Nice.
compare.
Have you signed up for a 100-miler?
Not yet. I was looking at one, and I might go back to this. There's a Pony Express 100-miler up northwest of us that runs along the old Pony Express trail.
Oh, cool.
And it's like an out and back that's pretty flat, so that's appealing. It's not a whole lot of elevation loss and gain. Yeah, so that's a possible one. But I think I'd like to get a 100-miler before 55. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Other goals would be getting a muscle up,
yes.
connecting my double unders rather than just like I'm still only doing one or two at a time. And then handstand walk. I've actually, like, yesterday's workout drove me a little crazy because I just couldn't get past the first
So
line.
close to 3 feet line.
Yeah, and yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
So would you consider yourself more trail than road running?
I do more road just because it's more convenient. I
Mhm.
definitely love trail running, so I do it. Me and a buddy started a running group before I moved out here, and we called it TNT, and it was like track and trail.
Oh, fun.
And everything in between. So track, road, trail. Like I'm ambidextrous.
Anything you'll do it. What's your
Ambidextrous, yeah.
favorite trail to run in Utah?
I mean, just anything at Mill Creek because I can take Kirby and he can run leash free.
She
So
probably loves that.
oh, he's totally. It's a
Uh,
happy place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet. Do you take him on all your runs typically, if you can?
Yeah.
Has he ran a marathon?
He's run a marathon. He's run 31 miles
Wow,
twice.
he's freaking tough.
He's a beast.
Does he slow down, or is he still just? No, he goes fast the whole time.
Now, yeah, he moves like the whole time. So when I did 31, he probably did 40.
Because he's running in circles.
She's always running in circles around me. So that's when he's off leash, I'm like the center of gravity. He's the comet.
That is hilarious. That is so funny.
I never know where he is because I'm thinking he's up there. I'm like, Kirby, and then he'll like come bouncing from behind me, and I'm like, Kirby, get up here, and he comes bouncing from ahead. Yeah,
Good boy, though. He stays with you.
Yeah,
That's
he
good.
stays with me. He's
awesome.
got good recall.
Okay, to end this podcast, we have a Bob mantra.
Okay.
If you had to give some life advice to anybody and everybody out there, what would it be? how would you say you live your life? The Bob mantra.
The Bob mantra or the aspiration, I aspire to be a collaborative leader. So empowering others to be part of like the change that we all want to see. But I guess the mantra, I shared this with my daughter, and message for her graduation was lead with love. That's the goal, is to lead with love and just be the best people we can be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That was super fun.
Thank you. Appreciate
Heck
it.
yeah. Yay.